Hi everyone, welcome to Hobby Hangout. Your cripple version this week. I've severely hurt my left side, so please don't ask for any strenuous activity.
He's a real truth.
Joining me this week is only Ben. John is working hard. I don't know what he's working on. I think he's working on stuff for the 40k weekend that's coming up in August. But we have glorious Ben. Ben, how have you been? What have you been up to?
I have been well, thank you. I've been hobbying away. Hopefully, everyone can hear me and I'm not muted. But yeah, I've been getting stuck back into it. I've been really inspired by reading, and I've been tinkering away on some stuff that I was talking about on the weekend at XLBS. Doing some barbarians and stuff. Been pretty cool.
Cool, because because you've been inspired by Rob. What's his name? the what do you call it series? The half.
Joe Abercrombie.
Yes, Joe Abercrombie.
Because I finished reading Sharp Ends, which was a collection of short stories for his first lore world, and then dived into his young adult fiction, which was the Half King series. I can't find Half a World. Is that the second one?
Half a World is the third book.
Okay, I can't find the second book in the same cover as the first one.
Oh, right? Half a War. Okay.
So I've got Half a King in this version, right?
Oh, right. Okay.
I can't find this cover art in the second one, so I'm not buying it until I find it, right? So I've now been moving on to going back to the first lore and everything like that. So I've been paying up some of the named men under Blood Three Trees. He was one of the characters. Some of his barbarian buddies from the first book.
I can sympathise with you, Ben, because I read Half a King and then I read Half a War, and then I purposefully avoided Half a War, or Half the World, because it was in hardback the time it came out.
Yeah. And
the versions I had were in paperback. So I completely sympathise with you and your whole book cover.
It's got a match. It's got a match on the shelf.
Problem.
That's
okay. Oh, everything hurts to move, hurts to talk. Maybe we'll just do a muted stream this week.
Should we do an ASMR version where it's just all very quiet and chill?
Yeah, you can. I can bring the mic down to my mouse and you can hear my clicking. I can't type though. Okay, thank you very much for tuning in. If you don't know who we are OnTableTop. We host the Hobby Hangout every Wednesday at 12 p.m. GMT or BST, depending on the time zones. Hobby Hangout is a place where you can showcase your work, what you're working on, whether it be terrain, whether it be painting miniatures or painting traditionally, digitally, whatever you fancy. You come across the OnTableTop.com. You can create a free account. You can go into the project system, and we usually have a look through that. But this week we are looking through our forum topic. What are you painting now? As a continuation.
Because there are so many bloody things in there. Jesus
As a continuation from last week, we stopped at page 129. Just matching up with Lawner painting off his Mythic Battles Pantheon, which was a fantastic Kickstarter that happened a few years ago, and we're only kind of now just seeing people paint them. Oh, hold on, we may have to bring these into Photoshop here, but these look fantastic. It's the Beastmen. Really nice base work. It's nicely blended in. Nice tone of green in there as well. Just a little bit of nature thrown in.
I really like the Minotaur, and further down I really like what he did with Pan as well. I think Pan looks fantastic. Very cool take on the character from Greek mythology. Very cool. And then he's even painting some gloom paper further down as well. Very cool.
I really like the flame work on this. I was going to say Minotaur, but it's not a Minotaur, it's a Centaur.
It is a Centaur, yes.
Very cool. Very nice flame work on that. I think it would have been kind of cool if you matched in some object source lighting on the base. as well, considering the flame's so close. But yeah, just a small suggestion.
I think it's very cool. Yeah. It's really I was going to say. You know how people always have this conversation about mermaids, right? Where it's like, would a true mermaid be fish top and man bottom, or man top and fish bottom, that kind of thing? Imagine that with a centaur, right?
So, man with a horse head.
Horse head. It's like a weird take on a minotaur. Yeah.
What about a griffin?
Griffin
with a lion's head and birds'
right.
talons.
Yeah. Like a harpy with a bird body and a man head, a woman head. Yeah. I think they did do that, didn't they, at some point in some artwork? Yeah.
Now, moving on from minotaurs to beasts. No, I want to talk about Chaos Gorka's fantastic looking Nargoth from Reaper Miniatures. Some amazing looking airbrush work on this thing, making it look truly terrifying. I love its kind of like lava legs, although to me it kind of reminds me of 80s spandex workout.
Like a leopard.
Yeah, it's almost like he's finished off his workout and now he's ready to take on the day, take on the workplace and destroy, reap some rewards.
It's got a very cool sort of Balrog look to it.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, very nice.
I love the shading going from the dark, obviously the black, through into the red and then the lighter colours. It's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like that it's been covered out. It's been done not just on the body, but also the head as well. I think that works really nicely.
Yeah, really cool. And even on the wings as well. You get a nice like purple tone from that, so it's nice differentiation.
Yeah.
Very cool. Makes me inspired to paint some of my Reaper stuff.
Eventually.
Yeah, well, it won't, I think we may be moving soon. We may be moving house very soon. So hopefully, if all goes well, I'll be painting maybe next month from a whole new area. We'll find out. Next up, we have Chilled Enough working on a landwear. What are these? These are kind of cool.
Landwear. Yeah.
Wow, this is so this week marks the 12th week of July in Northern Ireland, and this kind of reminds me. I just saw the little drummer guy. This reminds me of the parades that happen every year in the 12th over here in Northern Ireland. Although these guys look a lot more uniform than what we're used to. Some really nice work there as well. That's a kind of cool looking hobby space that he's got, like, because it looks like looks like a cabinet full of paints.
It is very cool.
Oh wow, what is this? Juvenile Glashton from Kraken Games. That is very. This looks like something My Parents Are Aliens kind of thing
Just a little bit
going on here.
It's like a weird octopus creature.
It's a very unique color for an octopus. Whatever it might be, an octopus. I'm not too sure.
You're gonna drop it into some games of Deep Wars, which is pretty cool. Works really nice for that. Yeah.
Working on some gladiators from Miniature Brushwork. That is some beautiful looking metal work there.
Oh yeah.
Really, really nice.
Non-metallic metal as well, there. So that's really pushing the boat out there. Man, there's so much shading involved with that.
So I'd love to see a lot more in the hobby, or even if anyone wanted to make a project of a tutorial for non-metallic metal, I think it'd be really interesting, and we could probably push it to the front page as well, just for that added, because it's an extra tutorial. It'd be kind of cool to see, especially those steps towards something. So if anyone's good at non-metallic metal and wants to have a go at it, feel free to go, even submit an article if you wish. Ben put out a call last weekender. If anyone wants to work on a tutorial, painted tutorial, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm just looking through the comments here. So latest progress from Fohammer. I love his work. I love that base to start with. We've seen this project a few times before, but I think he's just finishing up now. I really admire how he gets his base colors down on these minis. Yeah. They all look so clean.
They do. It's very neat painting.
Yeah, his shading, like there is shading in it, but it's so subtle that it doesn't pop out. It doesn't look comical.
Yeah.
I think.
That's a really cool model as well. I like that it's been put in sort of a scenario on the base, so it's almost like a little vignette of what's happening at the moment. Yeah. Going a little bit Thunderbird, just cutting its way through the forest.
Yeah. Very cool. That's something I never watched when I was a kid. Never watched Thunderbirds. No, I was.
Oh my gosh, you're missing out.
I was creeped out by the creepy dolls.
Did you find it weird when it went from them being puppets to real person hands when they were on a keyboard or something? That was always weird. But, yeah.
No, I just found it weird completely. I just didn't enjoy it.
Oh, Captain Scarlet's the best.
I think though, I'd probably admire it more now with like a hobby background.
Yeah.
But as a kid, I was so terrified of it.
Lord Saint is right. Yes, Captain Scarlet was the best. Best of the lot. No one likes Stingray. Yeah.
I just remember Stingray, the theme for it, because they just
Stingray!
they just shouted Stingray. The Flamers of Zinch from Andre, very cool looking. That's not very nice blending between the purple and the blue there. It's actually a lot of nice blending between all of these colours. It's very difficult colours to blend.
Yeah, especially with those sort of beaks as well poking out from their sort of magical faces too.
Yeah.
It's very creepy.
They're terrifying looking.
Mm.
What is this here? Conflict 47. Very cool. I like the space work.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if this is done with plastic plates. So a few weeks ago, last week I think maybe, we saw a project made. They made their basing with just plastic plates.
Yeah.
But yeah, very very nice. I'm sure
cool.
If John was here, he'd be really admiring.
It's really cool to see more stuff based on industrial landscapes. I think I was talking last week about having things based on sort of bricks and stuff from like broken down factories. Yeah. So it's nice to see things situated in very different places. Obviously, it ties you to a certain table layout then at that point, and it looks a bit weird when you're on those like bright green fields or something. But it certainly suits the figures and it works with the theme of Weird World War, doesn't it? So.
Yeah. I agree with that because I guess not everything can match in with a green tuft base. Like I guess Conflict 47 would work fine in the Greenlands, but I feel like this works so much better, like in this Weird World War era.
Very much does. Yeah.
Some little Beauty and the Beast work here. Oh wow, that's very nice. Crotch work does some nice. Yeah, it's really nice, like dusting of rust, and this here like paint scratching and worn out.
An IS-2 heavy tank from Warlord Games matched with a Bad Scudo Games Soviet tank commander. Very cool.
Yeah, and they don't look out of place together. Looks really nice. And here we have more Dust 1947. If we
a game that will forever live in Lloyd's collection but never really get played. So.
Yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. I think Lloyd has moved on to some Flames War stuff he's been working on.
I know, he's really getting into it, isn't he? The British and everything.
Yeah, I don't think he's played a game yet, but I think Lloyd prefers the hobby mostly. If he gets to play a game, he's usually playing Saga.
I was going to say, playing a game? Let's get it on camera, shouldn't we?
Yeah. And here we have some of the mythic battles. Hold on a second. Is this...
So the first lot are from... What the hell are these? I can't tell what these are.
They from
Looks like a
Monolith?
mix. I think they are. I think one of them is a war machine. Two of them, a couple of them are war machines. So the one with the bone claws and the lady on the back of the wolf are Tharn from War Machine.
Yeah.
And then we've got some more Mythic Battle stuff in there afterwards as well. Yeah.
I can't tell what this wolf is from, and it's for like the thing. It's kind of like a gorilla pose.
Yeah.
I can't tell what that's from, but that's. I don't think that's Mythic Battles, and I don't think it's War Machine.
No. I'm sure someone in the chat will inform us as to what it's from.
But seeing all the Mythic Battles all painted up and put into the tray, it's beautiful.
It looks really cool.
It does, yeah. The Hydra, is that the way it is? The Hydra is kind of like sitting on top of, or the wolves is sitting on top of the Hydra.
Cerberus on top of the.
Yeah.
On top of the,
some really nice stuff there. And here we have Batman miniatures game with miniature Robin. Are these two different models?
There are two different takes on Robin because they're probably they're probably different versions of him.
So this is a more adolescent one, whereas this here is more the tween kind of version. It looks like.
Still rocking the pants over there. Really, it's hard though.
The bottom right is a Fenrisian wolf from the Space Wolves. So these ones. This is a Fenrisian wolf. Still not sure with this one, but as Robert says, it looks like it's having a poo, which yeah, it does. I can see it. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh dear.
Completed 4 more ogres from Yanis. I love his work as well. It's pretty much the same kind of painting style as Fohammer, I think. Using it on fantasy, I think he managed just to get some really, really nice like skin tones and perfect,
it does,
like just perfect colors shaded in, and like that very, very subtle shading.
Would you say a lot of that then is wet blending to some degree then, is it? Or
perhaps.
Or is it not that technique? I'm not sure.
Perhaps it could be the like.
Or airbrushing?
A lot. It could be just a lot of layering work, and like the muscle work would be a little bit of like maybe airbrush, or the wet blending. But I think the key in how they paint, I think, is looking at their highlights, because if you look at their like their backside bottoms here, that highlight, it's not brought up to completely white on the the tops of their muffin tops. It is just a shade lighter than the red, so I think that's really where it sets it apart.
That's what.
Same with the blue, like nothing is really brought up to completely white, because why would it if it's a cloth work?
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be, as Robert says there, it's a very clean style of painting, and I'd love to see like an actual like step-by-step guide to see how they do it. I assume it's a lot of layering work to get that tone of color.
Yeah, probably.
2 Hounds of Artemis.
So this is where we find out that it actually is from Mythic Battles. It's a Lycaon. The pooing wolf is a Lycaon from Mythic Battles. So
interesting. That's
matched up with Circe's wolves and some undead fellows. So.
And these here for War Machine.
Yes. Well. Yeah. You can always tell a War Machine model when it's got half and half coloured bases. So.
Yep, that is how I can tell. And then we got some Brewers Guild as well coming up some soon. I really like seeing the Guild Ball miniatures being painted up. I think they offer some really, really unique sculptures. And whenever people make an effort, I think they look fantastic. Thomas Menes, he brought in the Harvesters Guild at one point.
The Halloweeny pumpkin thing, didn't he?
Yeah, he cut them all apart and added some really cool looking like straw bases and like almost like Children of the Corn kind of style to it, and it looked fantastic. But ignoring the miniatures for a second, look at this here. We've got a breakdancer on the stage here. Boudreaux has some fine ass moves there, right on the beach, on sunset, no doubt. Fantastic. I'm already impressed. Got some nice little Scotsman. GW released tartan contrast paint. If only.
He's the 74th foot. Sorry, there you go. No idea what. That's all back. And yeah, I think the Titan's looking actually quite nice on those. I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Really good technique. Very, very neat and careful with it. It's very good.
Ghost in the Fox. Why do we need to look up Elmo dancing for the motherland? If you can give me a good reason, then we'll maybe look it up. A few bits of Wizard's Mansion building for Burrows and Badgers project. Look at that. That's terrifying looking, like green sludge. Really nice work there. And I love the sundial. Oh, this is looking pretty cool looking. Crests for spiders. Is this from Mantic as well? From Dead Zone?
I'm not sure actually. I don't rightly know, as they say. It looks really cool though, whatever it's from.
And then we've got like Tiny Furniture's work from said 1106. I love Tiny Furniture stuff. I love looking at it because it's so cute and unique.
It's making me exceptionally hungry now as well.
Yes. I mean, this is essentially a buffet. We've got a buffet on here now. Oh my. Ben, what have you done?
Stuff. They found me.
So here we can see the actual Brewers Guild, some of the skin tone coming up. If I can bring that up in full browser there, we can actually see some nice work here already going. He's painting in the way that I think I would paint, in that you do just sections of the miniatures.
Yeah.
Sometimes I it's hit or miss. Often whenever I paint my minis, because sometimes I think about painting it that way, and then I decide I want to paint something else to finish. That's what I did with the Bouncy Boys recently, where I just painted the clouds, and then I thought like, well, that's me done. That'll do for now. I'm not bothered now. I love these little soldiers. There's a lot of detail in these as well.
There is.
These are from, I'm not really sure actually.
They look bolt action to me, those. So they're Warlord.
Yeah. And here we have Magothmog. We've seen his stuff quite a while back, and he was absolutely amazing, like shading on his miniatures. And
that whole is insane.
Yeah, just looking at this guy is, wow, very, very impressive. Great. What a great scheme to bring in for one of my favourite characters of the Marvel Universe. Not one, he is my favourite. World War Hulk, you can't beat him. It truly looks very terrifying in that. I'd love to see, not many people seem to sculpt Bruce Banner. I'd love to see a Bruce Banner as well, like to see the difference in height and scale and frailness of Banner.
It would be kind of cool to see someone come back and do miniatures based on the movie characters. That'd be really cool. You know, it's the Batman miniatures game has taken off, and still that's all going well and stuff tonight. But it'd be good to see someone come back and do some miniatures and stuff for Marvel-based things.
Especially with
quite
this,
a nice range as well.
Yeah, especially with this new phase coming in now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they're going to do very much with old characters now, so they could maybe bring in some of the best poses and outfits from the old characters. Like, I'd love to see a Captain America after Civil War uniform, where he's like ripped off the star and gone his own way. I'd love to see a sculpt like that.
There's so much depth for it as well, and a lot of people would snap those miniatures up. Like I picked up a lot of the old metal ones from like models when I could find them, when I found them in the store. But yeah, it'd be good to see someone come back and do something with that. Cool.
What are they like though? Because they're resin, are they quite frail? Are they quite brittle, I should say?
Well, the metals, their old metals were okay. Some of them were lacking a little bit in detail.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish that they'd been slightly bigger. Because it's something that I've found actually with some of the new Critical Role miniatures that they brought out from the Kickstarter, is that they look great and it's nice seeing the models, but I would have loved them to be a little bit bigger in proportions and detail wise. Like for example, if you look at something like those Guild Ball models that we're looking at the moment, right?
Yeah.
Lots of big open clear areas of exactly where you can see what should be painted what, and everything stands out on the model.
Yeah.
And then you see these really uber detailed, very small scale models in like 28 to 32 millimeter, and it's great if you're a painter like Angel Heraldes, so you can get in all the details and get it to work and all that kind of thing. But I think if you're just
the average
a regular old painter like me,
I think that's quite important as well, because I would assume that a lot of the fan base from Critical Role are not part of the hobby.
Exactly. Yeah.
A lot of them are part of the D&D hobby.
Yes.
Is that my light bulb? Stop shaking it around.
Light bulb, buddy.
Yeah, it's my Wi-Fi light bulb. So in preparation from the new house, hopefully, we wanted to invest in some proper light bulbs, some LED light bulbs, because for the last since I've been renting houses for the last 10 years, I'm so sick of replacing a light bulb every couple of months and replacing it with another cheap 50p one. So I invested £12 into one light bulb. But this one's going to be charged to my phone, so I can change the colour on it. So I'm really looking forward to playing with that later on tonight. Change the room. I want 1,000,000 lights though from my living room, so whenever people are around to watch horror movies, whenever there's a scary part, I can switch the lights to red.
What was the so going back to all this, I think it would be cool to see a lot more of these miniatures in that bracket between sort of 35 and higher, just that extra little
50,
bit of, yeah, even up to it'd be cool to see maybe not 50 mil, but 35 mil and just that heroic proportion to a lot of models that to do with things like, for example, as I was saying, Marvel, or from a property that a lot of people enjoy but maybe aren't involved in it on the hobby side of things. I think that would help people a lot going forward. But,
yeah, because painting such small scale, even 28 mil is big for hobby, but painting in that small scale, whenever you're not used to it, whenever you're an avid listener to RPGs only, would be very intimidating. And because Critical Role is so successful, starting in that scale, I think it might have been better if, as you say, it was a little bit bigger.
Yeah, but I think it's just a little thing that crops up in my head. But, mainly because I was painting and going, God damn it, I can't get these to look good. Also, for some reason as well, and maybe people can help me in the comments, right? I sprayed the models with white undercoat, and it did something that I've never had happen to it before, but I have seen crop up, where the undercoat went bobbly, and as if moisture or something had got trapped in there. And
okay.
I've sprayed that onto normal plastics, and they've been fine. But for some reason, spraying them onto these, I got this weird effect to it where it looked like it was bubbles, and it meant that there was a texture to the model rather than it just being clean. So I wondered if anybody knew what the...
Did you shake the can enough?
I did shake the can. I shook the can, and I heard a little rattle, I think.
What temperature was the room? Or
It
is
may
there?
have been when it was slightly muggy,
Yeah,
then maybe that is the case. But although
yeah,
Amanda says there may have been a mold release on there, so try cleaning them. Or humidity. There we go.
yeah.
Mm.
I know
Uh,
there's probably other ways to combat that in like saying, you should test spray something first, but who's got the
yeah,
time? Who's got the time or the money to waste on spray cans?
especially when it's £11 a spray can for
Yeah.
paper. Jeez, whew, I love
Yeah.
it. But, whew.
Yeah. It's I'm not sure. Maybe it's the pigment in the paint as well
Could
because it's white. Perhaps something wrong. Uh, maybe you could ask in the forums, but McGrathian Apprentice says humidity and temperature will also affect sprays, which I think
yeah,
is usually the correct answer after
yeah.
have you shook it. um,
I shall have to keep that in mind for the future because I don't want to ruin any of the critical role miniatures. So because they are special.
okay, and
Anyway, I've blabbered on and we haven't even looked at it.
that's it. I've been looking through. We've just been like pushing through with browsing on them, and I love this guy's like tartan work here, and even the sword. That's very very cool. This is non-metallic metal, I think, as well, which is a nice touch. I love that the base, if it was white, it would blend in with that carpet.
Yes, very true. That's a really cool little berserker. I like that guy. So
Yeah, I like the
it's
guy
the
after it as well. He looks a bit like Infinity. I'm not sure.
he is War Machine. He is a Signar caster. Yeah? So
Ah, yeah, very nice, very cool.
you can tell by that big ass base.
And here we have some Gilderoy Lockhart. That cream is beautiful on him.
Bloody hell, that's clean. I like that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'd have loved to have seen if you really wanted to update the base, have like a wall behind him with pictures of himself. I think that'd be very appropriate for him.
Well, one of the new Dumbledore miniatures is of him sitting on a desk, isn't it? So it'd be nice to have like
Yeah.
a version with like a nice scenic background. Guildford, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be another thing as well for the Marvel series is have Spider-Man sitting at a desk.
Yeah.
So I've been watching Spider-Man for so long now, and because of that meme, that's all I want to see in the Spider-Man movie is him just sitting behind a desk with a photo of himself in the background. I think maybe it might happen because like Marvel seem to be more open to having a bit of meta.
Yeah. Well, I haven't seen the new movie, but I've heard that there is a little nod to the newest PS4 game in there, which I thought was really cool. So
All right, I'm not too sure about that. I have seen it, but I haven't heard anything about that, so I don't know.
But
If I was
I'm seeing it next Tuesday. I was meant to see it this Tuesday, but people cancelled on me. Damn it! So I'm seeing it next.
Should have went yourself, Ben.
I should have just gone myself.
Screw you guys. I'm seeing Spider-Man myself.
Screw you guys, I'm going home.
What do you think? What are these? These are the Hellboy frog monsters.
From the board game.
Is it wrong that whenever I got to here, I thought it was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? 'Cause they do kind of look like them there.
They remind the top ones remind me of like Innsmouth is from Cthulhu. Got like a fish face thing going on. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, very cool miniatures. A friend of mine is feverishly painting up his collection so that we can play the game. He refuses to play it until everything is painted. So,
Oh, really?
yeah. Which I'm on board with. He's quite a quick painter though, so it's all good.
Okay, good. Was that the same for Gloomhaven?
With Gloomhaven, I painted up the heroes that we were going to be using, and then left the others to the side until I needed to paint them. And we always we don't open any of the boxes until we fully unlock the characters. So that's kind of cool. So there's some good characters out there. Unfortunately, in my role as someone who has to talk about tabletop gaming, it does mean that I've looked on Gloomhaven's entries on Board Game Geek and seen some of the characters that we haven't seen before. So I've had them spoiled now. So, but there we go. Yeah. The curse.
Curse of working in a hobby.
But no, I commend anybody who can paint their board game miniatures up and get them finished. So.
Is that the axe for the Plague Marine? Was it? I think. Sorry, look. Sorry, I know I'm skipping through, but I'm just kind of like this here. Is it this axe?
I think that's the axe that it comes with. Yeah.
It is actually really cool looking. Yeah, I think it is the one that it comes with it. I'm not too sure. Maybe there's extra like scratches and stuff in it, but this looks like it's been painted with the contrast paints.
It does, yeah.
As well.
I think the contrast paints work so nicely for things that have got that organic texture to them.
Anything that is rotting, I think works really well. I think it'll work really well with anything chaos and
anything Sylvaneth.
anything Sylvaneth and anything like Tyranid. Because they kind of work very well with that. You know, everything can be a shade of certain colors.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't think it'll work too well with Space Marines too much, because I feel like if you want to paint it fast, it'll work. But I think Space Marines in the meta gaming of it, I think they need to have armor very polished. Not to have that shading, but I think works really well for organics, as you say. Some cool looking Harlequin here. Yeah,
it's something that will make Sam very interested.
And that is some very nice metal work on the gauntlets and
get the check patterns and stuff is pretty cool.
Oh, sorry, I'm looking at the browser and I didn't realize it's half cut off here. Very cool. So Sam, he was a big fan of the Harlequins. I'm quite surprised because, he always complains about not having enough time to paint. I wonder how many Harlequins.
It's the hardest to paint.
Yeah, I wonder how long if he got painting them. Like that checkered pattern seems really, truly quite annoying. It seems easy enough, but it's just tedious.
It's about getting it so that it doesn't look dumb. That's the thing, isn't it? Because you can easily do it so it looks a bit squiffy, and then and you just want to repaint the whole thing, don't you?
Some really nice paint work here again from Chaos Gorka.
Oh,
I love the little bit of rust on the bells there. Something I've noticed about Chaos Gorka's stuff is he'll prime in black, and I think now I'm not going to say you're avoiding some areas, but it looks like you pay more attention to some areas that obviously will attract your eye, because the bells have a lot of work here, but the actual holster of the bells seems quite
dark.
Put into the background almost. The same with the handle of the scythe there, and just these little bits of leather work. I don't know if that's a creative choice or just something, you've chosen those colors to be there, but it almost looks as if you're pinpointing the area of the miniature that you want people to look at.
Which is kind of a cool idea.
It also saves you a lot of time, I think. It's clear that he's actually painted those areas, but I think that could be something to think upon. If you're working on miniatures and you want people to actually look at certain areas.
It's kind of like obviously not to the same degree, but it's almost a little bit like how Mignola draws and paints, for Hellboy and stuff, where it's really harsh cut. Yeah. It's between black, effectively, and then a really spotty colour. Doing that on models would be kind of interesting, actually.
Well, you look at any painting, I guess, where they have big crowds. They always especially like religious iconography. The pinpointed is always on
Yeah.
thing, and then the background are usually kind of like blurred out. So I think that's, you could maybe do something the same with miniature stuff.
Yeah.
I loved as well Rich Builds. He popped in for a little while. I saw this earlier a couple of weeks ago, and he's made a 6x4 gaming table with a 54-inch TV embedded in it. But that's not only because he was commissioned to build a piece. And you can see his kind of work progress here, casting 8 feet of homemade rock faces. So it looks quite easy to make. I didn't realize that you just wrap up tinfoil and put some cast in. Was that easy? Then making your rocks like this here, just peel them off.
It's crazy, isn't it?
And then this the fun fur base painted that goodness we had for the weather. So we painted up some fur coats. I don't know, maybe they got the same idea from like IKEA for the Game of Thrones stuff.
It's like when Lloyd went out with his teddy bear fur and he was spraying things.
Yeah. Kiskorga says I always try to push towards the face for a focal point. Yeah, sounds right. Some cool stuff here from Rich Builds. I think he's captured this seaside. It's almost like seaside marshlands really well, especially with that fur.
Yeah.
It's strange because whenever I look at fur, I don't think grassland terrain, but he's made it work really well there.
I would really like to see like a full breakdown of that when it's all finished and done. I think that would be fantastic with all the buildings on it and stuff. And brilliant.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I would love to give a button to that. So.
Have some Deathclaw for Fallout. Some cool stuff there. Seems like it might be a little bit over varnished there. I'm not too sure. I think that sometimes happens with like that. I have the anti-spray, the army paint or anti-spray or anti-shine, and it seems to, you really got to be quite light with it, otherwise it does the opposite effect. And a Luftwaffe Field Division for Dust 1947. 77 is different year. But yeah, some nice camo work on this as well.
Chunky camo, that's pretty cool.
It's interesting that we went through a hiatus almost of Dust, and quite recently, in the last couple of weeks, I think we've seen quite a resurgence of it. I've seen a lot more of it online. Maybe I was just looking in the wrong places, to be honest. But yeah. Oh, I love this guy. Love this. From Piers, a cute little delivery tank. I'm not really sure. If John was here, he'd know a lot more. He'd be really angry with me. I love the camo though on these troopers here behind the gun.
It's incredibly detailed, isn't it?
Yeah, that is really nice.
That would have taken a really long time to do. Just splodging on little tiny camo blobs.
You don't know, Ben? It might be like a Jackson Pollock where he sprays it on.
Yeah, it could be. Like flicks the paintbrush.
Yeah.
I love the battle damage on those metallic, on the metal parts as well. The gun and the truck. It's very cool.
Battle damage is really spot on. It's interesting. Even Lloyd, if Lloyd was here, he could probably tell us a little bit more about this gun as well, because in the last weekender he was visiting Valencia, and they had one of these big things. He saw one in person.
Yeah, we got some quality snaps from Lloyd. He didn't bring out the full slides though, which was good. So,
yeah.
It's a cool looking Hellboy from Schnitzel there.
Yeah. I feel like I feel bad that Hellboy will only have really one paint scheme to see it. It's that pop culture thing takes over.
Yeah.
Where it kind of, I'd love to see Hellboy in different colors, like even a different colored coat. I'd love to see him in like a really old like leather duster rather than the brown trench coat kind of thing.
It'd be kind of cool to see like a blue Hellboy. That would be cool.
Yeah,
That'd be neat.
I'd almost like to see him painted up in just normal flesh tones, but give him the hand a different color. I think that'd be kind of cool. But then again, it's Hellboy. I can't ask, of anything like that. If I had a spare miniature, I could maybe try it myself, but I don't. What is this? Whitman isn't giving anything away with this, but this is a 3D printed. This looks like a model for Adeptus Titanicus, maybe.
I think that looks like a Titan.
Yeah. A Titan for a 40k game.
Maybe.
Stomping in some Plague Marines.
Apparently, the truck thing was called a realm thingy, according to Bob. And in the other one, the gun was a PaK 40 75mm anti-tank gun.
Cool. So Loner's looking for some opinions and advice. I finished painting the muscly flesh. Keep in mind that this was back in June 30th, and this is 11 days ago. I could use some opinions and advice. I painting the muscly flesh, leathery wings, and overspray on them the base colours of the flesh. I liked the transitions and wanted to see if I could use them rather than paint the wings black. Do you think it works, or should I just paint the leathery parts of the wings a different colour? 2, they still need a highlight. What should I do? Should I use Gene Stealer purple? Was thinking perhaps dry brush and icy whitish blue. Those wings, I feel like they would be lighter than the muscle or the bone, because they're slightly they're translucent, isn't it? Where they, because they'd be a thinner part of the skin, so I feel like they'd be lighter. But I actually kind of like the dark color to this here. A pale lavender or purple would probably work, Dave.
The way I've seen people do it before as well is that you do it all one solid colour and then you dry brush over the wings to give it like a lighter effect, especially if you've got the sinews showing through for it, because it kind of works there. But I think going for that lighter tone is probably the best idea. I think.
Yeah, I think so. Overall, it looks fantastic so far. I love the color choice of that, like shading in the purple.
Yeah,
really nice. The bulges on these guys look fantastic.
You don't
Yeah.
say that very often.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, as I said before, I think Chaos Gorka seems to pick out a really fine piece here by like having really, really harsh dark areas within the miniature and then brightening it up a lot where the focal points are. Like the handle of this scythe is very, very dark, but it's not the main part of the miniature, it's that blade, and I think you've highlighted that really nicely. Same with like some parts here as well, like those pipes and stuff, they're all going into backgrounds.
Yeah,
very, very cool. And yet like you've highlighted this a lot more because it's more focal point. Really cool.
Bringing the attention to the pointy outy bits of the armor and the mutation. Just a good choice.
Really cool. Oh wow, we got a Jags Panther.
Jag Panther. I'm sure someone will tell me.
Yeah, where's Sundance when we need him? He should be here somewhere.
Or maybe I'll make a video.
Yeah. The camo in this is beautiful, the way it's all blended in, and having all those like rust stains, watermarks and oil stains. Really, really nice work on that. Beautiful.
Looks really nice in situ as well. I like that. It's been taken on the gaming table. That's really cool.
It's on a plinth though, Ben. How do you feel about that? Hold on. There is a lovely little diorama at the bottom here.
Yeah, that's the bit I like.
That works really well with the train behind. That train is painted really nicely. Wow. Very, very nice. Very cool. Where's John? I'm sure he's reeling in pain not getting to see this cool stuff.
His tank sense is tingling.
That's it, yeah. Alongside Soldado did this Burroughs and Badgers train. He thought he'd make some sci-fi using bits of old CDs and cereal boxes for the base, bits of nicely shaped blisters. Cool things.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So I saw a YouTube video quite recently. It was from one of our cool looking terrain guys from, I think, the States. And what he did is he went out and he bought an old toy tank. This thing was huge and it was really cheap. Awful looking paint on it. It was all pre-painted. It was just a toy tank, and it wasn't motorized or anything. But he cut it apart and he made it for terrain.
Oh, cool.
And it was fantastic looking. And it brought me back to the time where he did the terrain challenge, where one of the entries was using water pistols.
Yeah.
For infinity terrain, and I was trying to think of other things. I haven't been to a toy shop in quite some time, so if I ever get a chance and go down the Tesco's toy aisle, I'll just have a little look and have a little nosy, see if I can get any inspiration, because it'd be kind of cool just to see, look at something that's really cheap and not used for what its original purpose is, but amending it to be some kind of cool terrain. I guess that's what Lloyd does on a daily basis now that I think of it. Lloyd looks at toilet roll tubes and thinks, oh, well, that'll be useful someday. Advanced Hero Quest was Low-Key Battle Mats, a cobblestone map. Only took 30 years to paint. I don't want to borrow any kids, Dave. I was a clown for many years, and I think once I have my own kids, that'll be enough. Some nice terrain.
You don't need to have a child to go into a toy store.
No, we're big kids at heart. Oh, we saw some of this stuff here before, but I really like that terrain work, and some of this is from Reaper Bones. Actually, I think all of those miniatures are from the Reaper Bones pledge. Yeah,
it's Reaper Dreadmere stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the Galadoria Games City Box.
Those dogs look really nice. I think maybe a little dry brush of the flesh tone color would work really nice, or even bits of green to symbolize moss.
That'd be cool. Because you'd have that sort of watery effect that has happened to the wood over time, warping it and stuff.
And then we have this amazing looking Gensis Notorian Bloodravens. My goodness, what a name. First to be finished from Kill Team Cassius. I love the paint you've got, or the texture, the pattern you've got on this sword here.
The power sword.
Yeah, that is amazing looking work.
It's a really nice, clean looking black as well. I really like that. It's proper matte black. It's a sexy black.
A sexy black.
Sexy black. It's cool seeing more Death Watch as well. That's really cool. Yeah.
And this looks this is free painted, I'm going to assume, but it looks embedded. It looks part of the sculpt, so really well done on that, because the shading and highlighting on that really makes it look as if it's part of the sculpt. Fantastic work there. Maybe it is part of the sculpt. Maybe I'm talking.
I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen that kit, so.
I love the basing Blipvert is done in this Angela character, having her sniping out of the bushes. That's really cool.
On the grassy knoll.
Yeah. Here we have some. What is this here? Contrast paints from Element Games, and Imperial Salt.
So painting of Imperial Salt models using contrast paints. And I think it's worked quite well for for a lot of them, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think the shadows are a little bit like too dark. Maybe not for the trousers, but I think maybe for the shirts. But I think it works really well. I didn't think the contrast paint would work so well on sci-fi miniatures.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it works really well on these greens and the browns.
I think it's good. I think it's a good idea for board game miniatures because it means you get to paint them a lot quicker. I think.
Yeah, it works really well for Chewie.
It does work well. With the Wookiee warriors, it's very cool.
Yeah. I think the contrast paints would work really well for, as you say, board games. Because not a lot of board games, necessarily need to be painted, and I don't think they require the quality that wargamers or hobbyists would want to paint their miniatures to, want to pursue their time in. So I think the contrast paint worked really nicely for it. Yeah, it works really cool. So we're approaching the end here. We'll get to the last page and then we will go on to the community spotlight. But if anyone has any projects they wish to show off, feel free to come up to the OnTableTop.com and comment the link to the project in the Hobby Hangout thread. Or you can paste it in the chat and hopefully we spot it in time. You got a dog, Ben?
I've got dogs, cats, I've got everything. Everything comes to me. So.
I really liked what Zane has done on these night hunts, because he said that he only plays with skeletons, and these were just bought off eBay quite cheaply, and he decided he wanted to try out some flame techniques, and it does look as if they're being raised from the ashes, like these skeleton warriors coming out of the graves from hell itself. I think that looks really, really, really nice. I think I prefer this one because of the darkness underneath. I think these here, this is maybe the best experiment with this real dark tone from underneath.
Yes, yeah. I think it adds a lot more contrast into the model, doesn't it? I think it makes it look a little bit more exciting.
Yeah.
It has a little bit more of a natural feel of flame about it, I think. Yeah.
Then I saw as well, Dead Davy's been making this portal thing for what was it again? I think it's for 40k. It's a portal rift for his 40. This is Meringue of Doom. A warp rift for 40k. He's just taken a polystyrene ball and added some poly filler around it and painted it up. I think it works really well. Very cool looking. Dogma, fantastic looking work here. With his I'm not sure what it is. I feel like it's a drone from Star Wars. I really like the pencil work here you've got in. You've done it on a phone, so fantastic work. Great use of color, composition and layout. I feel like your what do you call it? Your perspective is a little bit off. I feel like this foot here is a little bit bigger than this one, so 4 out of 5 for
not getting a real sense of depth out of it.
Yeah.
Drawing,
but nice abstract piece. I'll give a B+ for that one, I think. Original Dreadnought. Here we saw the actual finished piece here. I think it worked really nicely with that nice dark color contrast of that.
Yeah,
and it's painted up so well. My God, that's really nice. Same again. I think who painted this loner? I think he does maybe the same kind of effect on here as Chaos Gorka we were talking about earlier, where nice in the dark. It's not, you're not wasting too much time on picking out those details. You just kind of like reserve those details for the uppermost parts of the model, because that's what you see most, I guess.
Yeah.
And then we have some Relic Knights combat armor Cordelia. We haven't seen anything from Relic Knights in quite some time.
They're slowly sort of working themselves back up at the moment, I think.
Are they? Okay.
They're doing a lot of like limited edition style models and things.
This looks like a custom base as well, because that's part of the bikes from one of the models, I believe. So it looks as if it's taken two models,
cool.
put one onto the base as well, and made this like stomp all over it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Just blasted one in the park.
Yeah. And more from Chaos Gorka. I'm so impressed by the amount of work that you are pumping out here. Like, so it's very impressive. You must be just working at this full time in order to put this out at this rate. But very, very impressive. Well done. Battle Company for Lord of the Rings. Oh, I like these guys.
Yeah.
These kind of look like the miniatures that you've been working on recently, Ben.
They do have an echo of that kind of grim, darky style fantasy about them. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's a good mix of things in here. There's lots of plastic sets. Got some Rangers of Gondor in there. Seeing Legolas, and some of the hobbits as well. We've got some dwarven rangers.
I really like this, like, almost like forceful highlighting. It's just there's not much blending between it. It's taking your base color and then highlighting it with another color straight over the top. I think I really like it.
What I do.
Yeah. 252 models finished this year so far. That is crazy. That's almost one per day. Very, very impressive. But yeah, as I said, like, I see there's a little bit of like experiment or change up in this cape, because this one looks dry brushed and then this one's been painted on. I think I really prefer the painted on version, especially for all of the hobbits and rangers and dwarfs in this whole battle group. I think it looks really nice. And then we have Panzer Kaputs, awesome looking Blood and Plunder miniatures, which we'll come back to later
Some
on.
Spaniards, yes.
It works really nicely on that little bit of terrain there too. Okay, we've got a couple of links as well, so hopefully we won't miss those too much. Some more Dust 1947. I mean, this is pretty much Ripley from Alien right here. That looks pretty badass. You just replace those guns with two big arms. That's what you've got. That looks really cool.
Really nice work on the armor there, and that's the camo once again.
Yeah.
Cool. Those are some shockingly blue towels.
Yeah.
Like
John is currently working on Tau at the minute
cool.
as well. But I think he's going for a more muted tone. Anything to like make them look as if they're blending in with tanks, I think. And then what is this? This is something big is in the works. So
it looks like the base for something.
Yeah. Scrambled eggs gone wrong.
Yeah.
Here's another one of fantastic looking paint here. This rust effect on these night hunts look terrifyingly good.
That's really cool. Yeah.
And I love I can't remember her name, the mother, or but having her as
Queen?
Yes, the Briar Queen. Just having her as being like the ghostly taint among them all, because they all look actually real, whereas she's an ethereal form. Really nice effect on that.
But that is some stuff. I really like the work on the rust, and I think the really nice contrast between that light color and the solid black almost is really good idea. It's very cool. Very spooky, spookums, lots of spookums.
Really nice little miniatures for the 20mm Germans as well. After 22 years of gaming for Warhammer, one of only 5 fully painted armies have completed for Conflict 47 Bolt Action. I mean, having that as a completed army, that's very impressive indeed. And you've put in a lot of work in this Warhammer, and you could only be very proud of what you've achieved here. That's really impressive. And I hope you get many games in.
Now it's all painted again.
Okay, so we have a couple of links here from Toughy Ears. This is one. Ooh, this is a spell from GW or Age of Sigmar. It's very cool. I like that very much.
One of the endless spells there.
I really like that board as well.
Ooh.
If you've made that, but yeah, it was really nice flame effect. Some cool looking lava, and then we have these cool looking little fire slayers as well. Oh, wrong link, is it? Where? Oh, hold on a second. Here we go. And yeah, very cute looking. Very cool.
I'm sure they would call themselves cute.
I think so. I think they look pretty cute. I mean, I know they're wielding giant axes and stuff, but I can't help but think that dwarves are quite cute, to be honest. And then Bugger Off, he's been working on Gangs of Rome. I saw this earlier pop up in the thread. Next week we're going to be going through a big look through a lot of the projects we have archived off in our document, and it's going to be interesting to see what people are working on. And then Bugger Off, you've been working on Mobs Part 2, the mob bases, so using Greensoft World's Grey Super Sculpting Medium blend, and then I assume you're using the rollers for the texture. That looks really nice actually. It works really well for especially Gangs of Rome. Very cool. Ah yes, there. The ruler there. Those rulers have really worked wonders for the hobby, I think.
Tuffy says the board is an ex-army on parade board that was given to them. Wow. There you go. That's pretty cool.
And what is this? So we've been sent through this from my Grithian apprentice. These are other things. What is it? Is this? This is an old advertisement for Dreadnought.
They're the old dreadnoughts that you used to get for Warhammer 40,000 back in the day.
Wow. Okay. I don't think we have any more projects, so let's just go back to OnTableTop.com and see if there's anything linked in. 6 comments. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see what we have here. Finished painting the core space Kickstarter a few weeks back. Post project here, and Bugger Off working on projects with anyone trying to sort this mob base we've just seen. Last years of work, full bold action. I think we've just seen that as well, but we'll have a wee nosy through as well. And then straight after we will announce the community spotlight winners. We should also announce this week that if you missed the Weekender last week, go watch it this week, because there's no Weekender this week coming.
However,
yeah,
we do have live blogging over in the States from Historicon over the next couple of days, so make sure you tune for that. Jerry and Justin are over there, and they've met up with James, also known as Oriskin, to cover the event. So even if you're heading to Historicon, for example, make sure to go and say hello to them and hang out. So, yeah.
And if you're attending Historicon, please take some gherkins over for Justin. He's been
yes.
he's been begging for more sea cucumber since we gave them to him. Don't believe anything he says. He really likes them. 68 minis for core space. Amazing work on that. That is very impressive, and I hope to see a lot more as well. I think core space is going to. I think Justin made a really good point of making core space maybe a fantasy game at some point, but I feel like core space sci-fi is still not finished. Guys of Battle Systems are going to be working a lot on that. But
it's a really cool idea.
Yeah. But then again, with this new fantasy terrain coming out on Kickstarter currently, I feel like a core fantasy might be on the way. Yeah. And I think it will work really well. I'd love to see something like that. Especially, can you imagine like just finding little chests of loot as well? Little tiny swords. It'd be so cool.
Yes.
But yeah, some fantastic work there for core space.
Yeah. Really good. Bringing all those characters to life very nicely there. Like that.
It's just Firefly, isn't it?
It is. It's got a nice Firefly feel to it.
Director Zool. Some really nice like popped out colors as well on these. Like the colors really stand out.
They do.
And the Gatherer's Mother and Spider, like that looks terrifying. That's
I love the robots for core space. I mean, they're so cool. They've got a really nice feel to them.
For sure, yeah. It's not like they kind of resemble some of like the robots in that Will Smith movie, Robots, but only a very small select of them kind of resemble that. I think it's just a clean look to them.
Yeah.
But they also have that very original feel to them. They look absolutely terrifying whenever like you come across them on tabletop. Really nice work. I feel like this guy is like measuring. He's telling a story and like, no, I caught a fish this big. Caught a robot this big. And here we see the fully painted army by Fohammer, and we get to see some really nice like close-ups here. I love the shark head. Yeah, he's definitely put in a lot of work into this, and every piece that he's painted is so crisp, clean, and has so much detail and character in it that you can only be quite astounded by it. Amazing work by that. Fantastic work. And somebody even has like little pin-up freehand work as well.
I know. He's got them. He's got such nice little details going into each of the tanks and the walkers and everything. So good.
Yeah, and we've seen this project grow over the last year, and it's really nice to see that it's actually finished and we get a full table view of everything there.
Yeah. I think both this one and the Samurai Army that we looked at last week, have been good examples of a project which has been just growing and growing and growing over the over the months. It's been really good to see. Yeah.
Okay, and with that, we're going to be announcing the community spotlight this week. We have some really nice work here.
Yeah.
So, thank you very much anyway for tuning in. I hope you guys have had fun. We'll be back again next week. But first button goes to Padre Caput for his Blood and Plunder Spanish. As we said earlier, I've been had a little look at those. And yeah, I saw these two, and I couldn't agree more with you, Ben. They look fantastic.
Yeah, he's been putting a lot of work into this and building up this project. He's been playing games, talking about them in the project as well, which I thought was really good. But this was, I believe, some of the European militia infantry that he's painted up as Spanish regulars, rather than being French. And the thing that really stood out to me with these is particularly with the fellows on foot was the way that nice cream uniform has come across. Against that nicer sort of like burgundy red from the almost like a wine red actually from the undercoats and the undergarments as well. Absolutely really nice stuff on those. Really good detail work going into them. Like the nice wooden plank bases as well for when they're on board ship as well, which is pretty cool. And
I don't know. I don't know if it's maybe the reflection of the camera, but it looks almost like the gun barrels have like tint of turquoise in them.
I think they do.
Because like
Yeah,
maybe they would rust a little bit, but I don't think. I
yeah,
think it's just like that's a really nice color to highlight like a metal
yeah,
barrel.
yeah. And it's a really nice little touch to make them, stand out a little bit more as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the same goes for the cavalry too. I mean, they're slightly more in like a work in progress stage there, some of the models, but I think they're really looking really good.
Mm-hmm.
Nice bold color choices for a big, bold, brash game like Blood and Plunder is always good to see. So yeah.
Blood and Plunder is very colorful. And the
You know,
next
it's
up,
a game set in the Caribbean, so
yeah. Next up, we have Frederic 555, the Magi Rashar.
So pick this one out because not only I had not really heard from user Frederic 555 before, but so I thought it was nice to highlight someone who's adding their work to the site. But I just thought this was really nice work on one of the models from the Carnivale range. Really good use of really like over the top kind of highlighting and shading to bring these models to life. So it was really nice. The thing that I thought was the best thing about the model was the coral staff.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that is just a standout little bit of awesomeness in the model, which I thought was really good. And hopefully, from what they said in the description to the project, we're going to see a lot more characters being painted up for it as well. But that's a good start out there for the Rashar, that Magi there. It was really cool.
Yeah, I love the coral in it. Panzerput says that the gunmetal blue, or it is gunmetal blue with silver highlights. So maybe it was just the reflection of something like behind the camera. But
Very nice.
I don't know, it has that like kind of like turquoise kind of look to it. Really nice.
Okay. Yeah.
And lastly, we have Denzian working on his Lost Colossus. We saw this project a few weeks ago, and I think it's fantastic.
So the head is the one that we've seen previously in some of our looks back through the project, and I believe it's got some awesome kudos for that as well. But one of the newer pieces he's worked on, and this just shows just how inventive he could be. And how we're talking back again about using bits and pieces from everyday life to using the tabletops. Well, if you're going to be making a Lost Colossus, why don't you take a mannequin and break it down and use it for pieces on your tabletop? And
yeah,
I love the way that hand has been, weathered up, giving that a little bit of extra layer of texture to it, and the undergrowth applied to it as well. I thought it was really nice. And then the next step that he's working towards now is he's going to be building the plinth that the large Colossus would have stood on back in the ancient times, and he's basing it directly on the dimensions and stuff from the scenario book where it came from. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that comes together as a new piece as well. As you can see, it's quite a large footprint to it, so it'll be really fun to see how that comes together. I think there's going to be interiors to it and everything, which I think is really good. But as I say, that hand was the sort of thing that drew me towards it this time around. Really nice, inventive use of bits and pieces from all kinds of walks of life to use in your tabletop gaming. So,
I wonder if you could, because of the Lost Colossus, I wonder if you could just get an old sandal and spread up as well.
That'd be cool.
If you get it'd be kind of cool to see. But
and just says using bits from everyday life just costs more.
Why not?
And Lord Sane says, with that you get free red paint as well. Very true. You don't have to buy your pot of Blood for the Blood Gods, you've got some ready made.
Very appropriate for this week in Northern Ireland. But yeah, that was Community Spotlight this week. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you click down here, the past awards, it will link you through to every project that has been awarded for 2019 as well. And if you want to look back at 2018, I think maybe 2017, you can change it in the URL. But there's some very impressive work. If you're looking for some inspiration, have a look through that, because they're given golden buttons for a reason. Thank you very much for tuning in this week. That's been Hobby Hangout. If you want to come across to OnTableTop.com, we have tons of stuff that's on show for you. There is no Weekender this week, but there is Historicon coverage, which will be covered by Jim, Justin, and Jerry, the 3 J's, if Jerry wasn't so awkward. But thank you very much for watching. We'll tune again next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
That hurt my shoulder a lot.